Welcome to the State of the Union from Brussels. A truce agreed between Israel and Hamas this week was a long-awaited announcement. The deal will allow for the return to freedom of a group of women and children among the Israeli hostages captured by Hamas and of Palestinians detained in Israeli prisons. The EU welcomed the news and hopes that it will create conditions for a humanitarian surge in Gaza. The Palestinian territories will also receive again money for development that was under review. The bloc is the largest international donor of funds designed to have a long-term impact directed to areas such as infrastructure and public services. The European Commission said it will proceed with payments this month after its internal screening identified no diversion of funds into the wrong hands.
The review found no indications of EU money having directly or indirectly benefited the terrorist organization Hamas. The review found that the control system in place has worked. As a result, payment to Palestinian beneficiaries and UNRWA will continue without payment delays.
The implementation of humanitarian and development aid in Gaza is done mostly by non-governmental agencies and UN agencies. A recent UN assessment about the social-economic impact of the war states that around half of the houses, hospitals, schools and roads have been destroyed. Jorge Moreira da Silva, Executive Director of UN Office for Project Services, visited Brussels this week to meet with several members of the European institutions. Euronews seized the opportunity to interview him about the assistance that gives to fragile territories in terms of infrastructure and public services, starting with the situation in Gaza. How do you see a ceasefire of a few days in Gaza Strip as a promise of a new possibility for a humanitarian boost?
We have seen more children being killed in 5 weeks than in all the conflicts in the world in the last 4 years. We have seen even the UN premises being under strikes. I think that it's fundamental that in this window that is now being opened, that more aid can be provided. But in case, unfortunately, the window closes, that we continue having the capacity to provide additional aid. Before the crisis, we were having, on average, 500 trucks going to Gaza. In the last 4 weeks, we had, on average, 40 trucks going to Gaza. So obviously, this is well below the basic needs. The basic needs would be 100.
So this time, do you think that the fuel will be allowed to enter in Gaza, not only food, medicine, water and other supplies?
The deal that we had from UNOPS, that has been functioning since 2018, is very clear. So we bring the fuel from Israel, and every day 5,000 liters of fuel was going through UNOPS to the Gaza power plant, and through that we increased access to electricity in Gaza from 5 hours a day, so only 5 hours a day access to electricity, to 12 hours a day. In 6 years we were providing every day, no disruption, no dispute, no risk perception going towards a level that would cause the project. So it is possible.
I assume that in your meetings with the European Union institutions, you also talked about the war in Ukraine, and you have visited Ukraine. What are the conditions also for some early reconstruction in Ukraine? In which cities? Is it already feasible and wise to do it?
I would say that it is not only possible, as it is obligatory, because we cannot put the entire population in Ukraine on hold until the war ends. We already started. So in practical terms, with the support of the European Commission, we are reconstructing 70 schools. 8 of those schools, they are already fully constructed. I think that we really need to be committed in supporting Ukraine, not only in the short, but also in the mid and long term. We know what is needed. $411 billion that is needed.
The European Parliament approved this week new rules aiming to greatly reduce packaging waste in the European Union. The law could cut around 20 or 30% of the 80 billion tons of packaging waste produced every single year. The report still has to be negotiated with the governments of the 27 member states. The Parliament's Environment Committee Chair, Pascal Canfin, expects that legislation to change the mindset of the packaging industry and other sectors using single-use plastic. But the French MEP also recognized that is probably one of the issues most targeted by the so-called lobbies.
I'll give you one example. McDonald's is lobbying to keep the single-use model. The single-use model is that you use just once all what is necessary to have your food. The alternative to this is precisely the proposal we push for, meaning that when you are in a McDonald's or KFC or Burger King restaurants, on-site, not takeaway, on-site, then why should you use, to drink your Coke, a single-use cup and not just a glass? Why?
The European Union support to Ukraine also includes regular visitors of its most important leaders to the country. This week it was Charles Michel, President of the European Council, that wanted to mark the 10th anniversary of the Maidan Revolution. The mass protest toppled a Moscow-backed president and set Kyiv on a pro-Western course. Michel said that heroes and heroines lost their lives standing up for Ukrainian association with the European Union and for freedom and democracy. During the work meeting, the Ukrainian president said he hopes the country will get the green light to begin formal accession talks. That decision will be made during the EU summit next month, and Volodymyr Zelensky stressed that it would help Ukraine to believe that there is justice. This is all from me. Thanks for your attention.